Welcome to our web exclusive. I'm Mike Montecalvo along with Eyewitness News analyst Lieutenant General Gen Centracchio. And as you can see, the General has his uniform today. Because we're going to talk a little bit about Memorial Day and the true meaning of the holiday, General. You actually started off on this Wednesday at Immaculate Conception School in Cranston, where they're starting a new tradition where they're retiring the American flag.
Right, and that was really a nice ceremony to be at, because it tied in the meaning of the American flag and the meaning of Memorial Day. One of the few times that I've seen that done. The true meaning of Memorial Day is to remember those that made the ultimate sacrifice, and so that we can enjoy this thing we call freedom. And of course, when you talk and you bring the flag into that too, the meaning of the flag and the importance of looking at the flag as being representative as who we are and the values that we have. When you talk to the soldier and you talk to the flag and bring them together, that's the epitome of really appreciating what Memorial Day is all about.
What did they do with the flag once they took it down?
They took it down, they presented it to a veteran that was previously working at Immaculate Conception School, the regional school now, and that was rather touching too, because the guy had spent many years in the military as well as worked there, and so just the look on his face and know that he really appreciated that.
You know, everything is a teachable moment. I know you had the opportunity to go into, I believe, the 4th grade class to talk to them. What were some of the questions that they had about the holiday?
It was amazing. So I was really impressed with the kind of questions they were asking, such as, why do we have the red, white, and blue color? Why do we have so many stars? What's the meaning of the stripes? Why is it rectangular? And what do you do with it when it's no longer serviceable? Do you have a ceremony when you burn it, or you just burn it? So I went into the actual protocol that you do when you destroy a flag, and why we do that, and that's the necessity of having to have respect for the flag, and that means for each other. So I was really impressed with the kind of questions that came out of that 4th grade.
Has the whole message been diluted at this point?
You know, unfortunately, I think it has been, except for the day, when you get the events such as Exeter Cemetery and parades across the state. But I think the true meaning, unfortunately, has been diluted over the years, where people look at perhaps a weekend off, maybe a barbecue, maybe a picnic somewhere, and really the true meaning of the Memorial Day itself gets lost somewhere along the line. So it's very important that we have these kinds of ceremonies, especially within the grammar schools in the 4th and 5th grade, and even the 1st and 2nd grade, because it's a moment that they'll remember for a very long time. And when you tell them what the meaning of it is, it's like they heard it for the first time.
And sometimes they can't really see that in a book when you really think about it, when
right.
somebody's actually telling them that story.
Yeah, and what I saw also too at Immaculate Conception was the parents were there. And when they saw their parents standing up and holding their hands over their heart as the national anthem was being sung, they mimicked that, and they put their hand over the heart. Nobody had to tell them. And it's just those kinds of things I think are extremely important, that we start that and continue to do it in every one of our schools.
Well, on our website right here, WPRI.com, we're going to have the list of all the events that are taking place now through Memorial Day. The General mentioned that on Memorial Day itself, the big event is at the Veterans Cemetery, but a lot of little towns like Scituate have little parades, so you don't have to go to Exeter to commemorate the event.
That's right, and I think if you really look at the real good feeling, it is like places like Scituate, where they have a small parade, a short speaking program, and people greet each other and exchange stories. And that's really when you see the real feeling of Memorial Day, exuding from just a small conversation, rather than have a real large event where you don't get the opportunity to share stories.
The way we look at veterans, though, General, has changed, I think, for the better over the years. I mean, when the Vietnam veterans came back, and the soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, two different stories, two different pictures we're seeing.
It is, and if you look at the history of the United States, it's been to some extent cyclic. Where right after the Revolutionary War, there were maybe 1/3 of the country even thought we should have a revolution. And then when you get into the Civil War, which was one of the major events in the country, you had half and half of the country looking at maybe we shouldn't have done that. And all of a sudden it started to come together. World War I was one time where the entire country came together, but not until after the event. World War II, I think, was probably the highlight of how we treated our veterans. The low point, in my opinion, was not only Korea, but certainly Vietnam. And we treated our veterans very badly. And I hope we'll recover from that one day. But now, as we see our vets coming home from Iraq, Afghanistan, and other places around the world, I think we've learned a lesson that that's really where we need to concentrate our thankfulness.
Well, as we remember veterans today, General, we also know that many will be coming home now over the next several months. Your concerns about what is happening now with the drawdown?
My concern is that we are repeating history all over again. And I just mentioned World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. We did the exact same thing. We took the Army and the military down to a dangerous low, and then we needed to rebuild that when we had something that was significant happening. And that precipitated a draft. I hope we never see that again. But this particular drawdown is being driven by budget rather than policy. And because of that, the Army will come down to about 495,000 people versus the well over 500,000 people we have now, specifically because the wars are coming to an end in Iraq and Afghanistan. But at the same time, there are other contingencies that continually need our attention. And to be able to bring a large contingent back up in a short order we've found that is almost impossible.
Are they curtailing bonuses too?
Yes. Bonuses for recruitment are gone, retention bonuses, certainly for those individuals who want to stay beyond their 20 or even attain 20. And I think the most significant thing that we're looking at in this particular drawdown is that they have actually raised the standards for enlistment to begin with, as well as for those that want to be retained. They've raised those standards. So someone that joined perhaps 3 years ago would not be able to join today because of the raising of those standards. Those individuals that may have wanted to re-enlist 3 years ago could not do it today because of the increased standards for re-enlistment.
Well, finally, General, what happens if something takes place in Syria, Pakistan, or wherever, North, South Korea? How do we get those numbers back up quickly?
Quickly, you've got to look at bringing those people back into the military who were just recently discharged. That's been done before. When you have an obligation, you join the military, you obtain an 8-year obligation. Some of that may be active duty, other reserve component, then standby. That would be the first target. And secondly, and hopefully never would see this, but the ultimate solution to large numbers would be a military draft. And therefore, we would probably visit something like Vietnam all over again.
Still look good in that uniform, General.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm holding my belly in real tight.
Well, General, as always, thank you, and thank you very much for your service, and thanks to all veterans for their service on this Memorial Day weekend.